Marcus Chin was walking home from his job at the bookstore when he heard the screams. It was a cold Tuesday evening in Seattle, the streets busy with people heading home from work. The 17-year-old boy stopped and looked around, trying to find where the noise came from. More screams. Then, a strange sound like metal scraping against stone. Marcus ran toward the noise without thinking. His mom always told him he jumped into things too fast, but he could never just walk away when someone needed help. He turned into a narrow alley between two tall buildings. What he saw made him freeze for a moment. A creature was pressed against the far wall, surrounded by 5 people in dark clothes. The creature looked like a dragon from the movies, but smaller. It was about the size of a big dog with purple and silver scales that shone in the dim light. Its wings were folded tight against its body, and it was making scared noises. The people in dark clothes had weapons. Marcus recognized them as plasma rifles, the kind used by security forces. But these people were not security. They wore masks with a red symbol that Marcus had seen on the news. They were from Earth First, a group that hated aliens. "Alien scum," one of them shouted. "Go back to your own planet." The dragon tried to move, but it was cornered. One of the attackers raised his rifle and aimed at the creature's head. The dragon's eyes were wide with fear. It was just a young one, Marcus realized. Maybe even younger than him. Marcus did not think. He just moved. His legs carried him forward as fast as they could. He jumped in front of the dragon just as the attacker pulled the trigger. The plasma blast hit Marcus in the back. It felt like being struck by lightning and burned by fire at the same time. He heard a crack like a tree branch breaking. And then, he could not feel his legs anymore. He fell to the ground, his face hitting the cold concrete. Everything became blurry. He could hear more shouting, more shooting. The dragon was making high-pitched sounds above him. Marcus tried to move, but his body would not listen. He could move his arms a little, but everything below his chest felt wrong. Not painful anymore, just gone. Blue lights flashed. Security forces had finally arrived. Marcus heard the sound of stun weapons firing. The attackers shouted and ran. Some were caught, some escaped. Marcus did not care anymore. He was very tired. He felt something touch his hand. The dragon had moved closer to him. Its eyes, bright yellow with golden flecks, stared into his. The creature made a soft sound, almost like a cat purring. Then, it touched its forehead to Marcus's hand very gently. "It's okay," Marcus whispered. His voice sounded far away, even to himself. "Go, run away before they come back." The dragon made a sad sound. It looked around at the security forces rushing into the alley. Then it spread its wings and flew up, disappearing over the buildings. One of its scales fell off and landed next to Marcus's hand. It was black and shiny like polished glass. Then, everything went dark. Marcus woke up 3 days later in a hospital room. His mother was asleep in a chair next to his bed. His father stood by the window looking out at the city. When the machines beeped louder, his father turned around. "Marcus." His father rushed to the bed. "You're awake. Thank God you're awake." His mother jumped up, tears already running down her face. She grabbed his hand and held it tight. Marcus tried to smile at them, but his mouth felt dry. "What happened?" he asked. His parents looked at each other. His mother's tears fell faster. His father took a deep breath. "Son," his father said slowly. "The blast? It hit your spine. The doctors did everything they could, but—" Marcus tried to sit up. He could not. He could move his arms and his head, but nothing else. Panic started to rise in his chest. "Why can't I move? Why can't I feel my legs?" "The damage was very bad," his mother said, sobbing. "They can't fix it. Not with human technology. The alien medical treatments cost too much money. We tried, Marcus. We tried everything." Marcus stared at the white ceiling. He could not feel anything below his chest. His legs were there. He could see them under the blanket, but they might as well belong to someone else. He thought about his plans to join the Space Explorers after graduation. He thought about the soccer games he would never play again. He thought about all the things he wanted to do. "The dragon," he asked quietly. "It got away," his father said. "Nobody knows who it was. The news said it was probably just a tourist who was in the wrong place." Marcus closed his eyes. At least the dragon was safe. That was something. That was worth it. He told himself saving a life was worth it. But as he lay there, unable to move, unable to feel half of his body, he wondered if he really believed that. On the table next to his bed, His mother had placed a few things from home to make him feel better. Among them was something Marcus did not recognize. A black scale shining like glass sitting in a small box. Neither of his parents knew where it came from. Marcus stared at it and remembered golden eyes filled with fear and gratitude. Somewhere out there, a young dragon was alive because of what he did. He just hoped it was worth the price he paid. Days turned into weeks. Marcus learned to use a wheelchair. He learned that his life was now divided into two parts, before and after. Everything was different now. Everything was harder. But sometimes when he held that black scale, he remembered the feeling of doing something right, something brave, something that mattered. He just did not know yet how much it would matter. 3 months had passed since the incident. Marcus sat in his wheelchair in the hospital's therapy room, trying to lift small weights with his arms. His body had changed so much. His arms were getting stronger from pushing the wheelchair everywhere. But the rest of him felt like dead weight. His family was struggling. The medical bills were enormous. His father had taken a second job. His mother cried when she thought Marcus was not listening. The government gave them some help, but it was not enough. Earth's medical technology could not fix a severed spinal cord. The aliens had better technology, but it cost more money than his family would make in 10 lifetimes. Marcus tried not to be bitter. He really did. But it was hard when he saw other people walking, running, living normal lives. He had given up his future to save someone, and the world had just moved on. The news had stopped talking about the attack after a few days. No one cared about another hate crime. No one cared about a disabled human boy. He was lifting his 20th weight when the hospital doors burst open. Security guards rushed and looking nervous. Behind them came people Marcus had never seen before. They wore formal clothes that seemed to shimmer with different colors. They were not human. Marcus recognized them from school lessons. Dragons. Real dragons in their humanoid form, tall and elegant with scales showing on their skin like beautiful tattoos. There were 5 of them, and they moved with perfect grace. The lead dragon was a woman who looked middle-aged with silver hair and purple scales on her neck and hands. She walked straight to Marcus and bowed. Actually bowed. "Marcus Chin," she said in a voice that sounded like music. "I am Ambassador Tora of the Dragon Imperium. We have come with a message from Draken Prime." Marcus stared. "I think you have the wrong person." "No," the ambassador said. "You are exactly who we seek. 3 months ago, you saved a life in an alley. You took a weapon blast meant for a young dragon." "Yeah," Marcus said slowly. So, the ambassador said, and her face became very serious. "That young dragon was Princess Seraphina Aurelus, heir to the Dragon Imperium and future ruler of 17 star systems." Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. "What?" Another dragon stepped forward. This one was younger, maybe in her 20s in human years. She had purple and silver scales that Marcus recognized. Those golden eyes. He remembered them filled with fear. "It was me," the young woman said quietly. "I was the one you saved. I was on Earth without permission, hiding what I was just wanting to see human culture. I was foolish, and you paid the price for my foolishness." Marcus did not know what to say. A princess. He had saved a princess, and no one told him. Among dragons, Ambassador Tora continued, "A life debt is sacred. When someone saves your life, especially the life of royalty, that debt must be repaid. The Empire sent us to offer you anything within our power." Marcus laughed. He could not help it. It sounded bitter, even to his own ears. "Anything? Can you give me back my legs? Can you make it so I can walk again?" "Yes," the princess said simply. Marcus stopped laughing. "What?" "We can heal you," Princess Seraphina said, stepping closer. "Dragon medical technology is thousands of years ahead of human medicine. We can repair your spine completely. It would take a few weeks, but you would be whole again." Marcus' heart was beating so fast. He could walk again. He could run. He could have his life back. All his dreams, everything he had lost, could be returned to him. But something stopped him from saying yes immediately. He looked at the dragons, at their expensive clothes and their confident faces. They were powerful. They ruled star systems, and they were offering him a simple fix. A payment to close their debt. "What else can you do?" he asked. The dragons looked confused. "What do you mean?" Ambassador Tora asked. "You said anything in your power. What else could you give me?" "Wealth." The ambassador said a title. "Land on any dragon world." Education at the finest academies. Name it, and if it is within reason, it is yours. Marcus thought about his life before the attack. He had wanted to join the Coalition Exploratory Corps. He had wanted to travel the stars to see new worlds to make a difference. He had wanted to matter. I don't want a quick fix, Marcus said slowly. I don't want money or a fancy title I didn't earn. Then what do you want? Princess Seraphina asked. She looked genuinely curious now. I want to be useful again. Marcus said. Before this happened, I wanted to serve in the Coalition. I wanted to protect people, explore new places. I can't do that now. So here's what I want. Use your technology to make me useful again, not just healed, better. Give me the tools to serve, to matter, to make a difference. The room went silent. The dragons stared at him like he had grown a second head. You want to refuse wealth and healing? Ambassador Tora said slowly. And instead ask for work. I'm asking for purpose, Marcus corrected. I'm asking for you to invest in me, not just pay me off. I didn't save your princess for a reward. But, if you're going to give me one anyway, make it mean something. Princess Seraphina's eyes went wide. Then, slowly she smiled. It was the first real smile Marcus had seen from her. You're very strange, Marcus-chan. Most humans would take the money and the healing. I'm not most humans, Marcus said. The princess looked at her ambassador. Something passed between them. Some silent conversation. Then, the ambassador nodded. This is highly unusual, Tora said. What you're asking for would require you to come to Dragon Prime. The procedures would be experimental. They have never been done on a human before. It would be dangerous, painful, and there is no guarantee of success. Sounds better than sitting here feeling sorry for myself, Marcus said. Princess Seraphina knelt down next to his wheelchair. This close, Marcus could see that her eyes were still haunted by guilt. Why? She asked softly. Why did you jump in front of me? You didn't know who I was. I was just an alien to you. Marcus thought about it. Because you were scared. Because those people were going to kill you. Because it was the right thing to do. He shrugged. That's how humans are. We don't always think things through. We just do what feels right. The princess touched his hand the same way she had in the alley. Then, let me do what feels right. Come to Draken Prime. Let us try to give you back what you lost, and more. Let me repay this debt properly. Marcus looked at his parents, who had been standing in the corner in shock. His mother was crying again, but this time she was smiling too. His father nodded. Okay, Marcus said, let's do it. Ambassador Tora bowed again. Then it is decided. Marcus-chan, you are hereby invited to Draken Prime as a guest of the Imperial Dragon Court. We will do everything in our power to honor your request. As the dragons left to make arrangements, Princess Seraphina stayed behind for a moment. Thank you, she whispered. For saving me, for giving me a chance to make this right. Thank you, Marcus replied. For giving me a reason to hope again. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know if the dragon technology would work. But, for the first time since waking up in the hospital, Marcus felt something other than despair. He felt alive. The first time Marcus saw Draken Prime from the ship's window, he forgot to breathe. Cities floated in the sky, held up by nothing he could see. Crystal towers rose into the clouds, shining with colors that did not exist on Earth. Waterfalls flowed upward. Gardens grew in spirals around buildings that looked like they were made of light. It's impossible, Marcus whispered. Princess Seraphina stood next to him. Over the journey, she had asked him to call her Sarah. For dragons, impossible is just a starting point, she said with a small smile. The ship landed on a platform that hovered over a city of silver and gold. Dragon people walked everywhere, some in their humanoid forms, others in their true dragon shapes, flying between towers. They all stopped to stare when Marcus' wheelchair came down the ramp. Humans were rare on Draken Prime. Disabled humans were unheard of. Marcus tried to ignore the stares. He had gotten used to people looking at him like he was broken. The medical facility was in the heart of the capital. It looked more like a palace than a hospital. Inside, everything was smooth curves and soft light. The air smelled like flowers Marcus had never encountered before. Dr. Vex was ancient, even for a dragon. His scales were pale gold and his eyes held centuries of knowledge. He examined Marcus for hours using devices that hummed and glowed. Finally, he sat back and looked at Marcus seriously. What you're asking for has never been done, Vex said. We can heal your spine easily. That is simple. But you want more. You want integration, enhancement, capability beyond your original form. Yes, Marcus said. It will hurt, Vex warned. More than anything you have ever experienced. The procedures will take months. Your body will fight against the changes. Many times you will want to give up. You might die. I understand, Marcus said. Vex studied him for a long moment. Humans are fragile creatures. But I have learned that you are also stubborn. Very well. We will try. The surgeries began the next week. They put Marcus to sleep and opened up his spine. They removed the damaged parts and replaced them with something else. Something alive. Dragon biometal, Vex called it. It was technology and biology mixed together in ways that human science could not explain. When Marcus woke up, he screamed. The pain was everywhere, like his whole body was on fire from the inside. Sarah held his hand while he cried. She never left. I'm sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry, but Marcus did not quit. He could not. He had asked for this. He had to see it through. The second surgery added neural lace to his brain. Tiny threads thinner than hair spreading through his mind like roots. They would let him connect with technology, Vex explained. They would make him faster, smarter, better at processing information. They would also give him control over the biometal in his spine. After each surgery, there was recovery. Marcus had to learn to use his new parts. The biometal was strange. It responded to his thoughts, but not always the way he expected. Sometimes it moved on its own, like it was trying to help him before he even knew what he needed. It's alive, Vex explained one day. Not intelligent, but alive. It learns from you, adapts to you. In time, it will feel like it was always part of you. Months passed. Marcus went through 7 major surgeries and dozens of smaller procedures. His body changed. His spine was now a combination of bone and biometal. His nervous system had been rewired with neural lace. His eyes had been enhanced to see in different spectrums. His bones had been reinforced, but he still could not walk. The biometal is connected, Vex said, frustrated. The signals from your brain reach your legs, but something is blocking the final connection. Marcus lay on the examination table, exhausted. Maybe it can't be done. Maybe humans just aren't compatible. No, a voice said from the doorway. Sarah walked in looking determined. I think I know the problem. You're trying too hard to walk the way you used to, but you're not the same person anymore, Marcus. You need to stop trying to be the old you and accept what you've become. Marcus stared at her. What do you mean? The biometal responds to intent, to will, to imagination, Sarah explained. You're trying to send the same signals you sent before the injury, but those pathways are gone. You need to create new ones. Stop thinking about walking. Start thinking about moving. That night alone in his room, Marcus tried something different. He did not try to move his legs like he used to. Instead, he imagined the biometal moving. He imagined it flowing like water responding to his while carrying him forward. His legs twitched. Marcus' eyes went wide. He tried again, focusing on the feeling of the biometal, not on the memory of walking. This time, his leg bent at the knee. He called for Vex immediately. The old dragon came rushing in with his equipment. Do it again, Vex commanded. Marcus focused. This time he stood up. It was shaky and awkward, and he fell after 3 seconds, but he stood. For the first time in almost a year, Marcus Chin stood on his own 2 feet. Vex started laughing, a sound like thunder. Impossible. Wonderful. The human did it. The news spread through the medical facility. Sarah came running. When she saw Marcus standing, tears ran down her face. You did it, she said. You actually did it. But Marcus was not done. Over the next weeks, he learned to walk, then run, then move in ways he never could before. The biometal let him jump higher, move faster, react quicker. The neural lace let him process information at incredible speeds. He could look at a computer and understand its systems just by thinking about it. He was not healed. He was transformed. One day, Vex showed him something new. We added one more system, the doctor said. Since you cannot walk without the biometal, and the biometal needs power, we have given you something special. Vex handed Marcus what looked like a thin metal disc. This is a repulsor unit. It uses gravitational manipulation. When your legs tire or when you need to conserve energy, you can use this instead. It will let you hover, move in 3 dimensions. In zero-gravity environments, it will give you an advantage over anyone who relies on legs alone. Marcus attached the disc to his chair. It lifted off the ground smoothly, responding to his thoughts through the neural lace. He could move in any direction at any speed. His wheelchair was now a mobility throne that could go anywhere. Sarah watched him practice. "What will you do now?" she asked. "I'm going to apply to the Coalition Military Academy," Marcus said. "I'm going to become what I always wanted to be. Maybe more." "They will not make it easy," Sarah warned. "Humans face prejudice. And you? You are unique. Many will not understand." "Good," Marcus said, smiling. "I work better when people underestimate me." Before he left Draken Prime, Sarah gave him a gift. It was a piece of armor made from dragon scales. Light as cloth, but stronger than steel. "So you never forget," she said. "You saved me once. This will help me save you in return." Marcus put his hand on her shoulder. "Where even now the debt is paid." "No," Sarah said softly. "We are friends now. And friendship is not a debt. It is a choice we keep making." Marcus looked at this dragon princess who had become so important to him. She was right. They were friends, and that was worth more than any life debt. As his ship left Draken Prime, Marcus looked back at the floating cities one last time. He had come here broken and desperate. He was leaving as something new, something that had never existed before. A human with dragon technology inside him. A bridge between two species. A person who had turned his greatest tragedy into his greatest strength. The future was waiting, and Marcus was ready to meet it. The Coalition Military Academy sat on a moon orbiting a gas giant. It looked like a fortress, all sharp angles and heavy walls. Ships came and went constantly, carrying cadets from 100 different species. Marcus' transport landed on a Tuesday morning, and he knew immediately that this would be harder than anything on Draken Prime. The stairs started right away. A human was unusual enough. A human in a floating wheelchair with visible biometal running up his neck was a spectacle. Marcus kept his head high and moved toward the registration building. His repulsor chair hummed softly as it carried him forward. "Look at that," someone said loudly. Marcus recognized the species as Krell, big reptilian warriors known for their strength. "They're letting cripples in now." Marcus stopped and turned to face the speaker. The Krell was huge, easily 7 foot tall with scales like armor. "I passed the same entrance exam you did," Marcus said calmly. "So yeah, they let me in." The Krell laughed. "You probably had help. Dragon technology, dragon sponsors. You're just a pet project." Other cadets were watching now. Marcus felt the familiar anger rising in his chest. But Sarah's words came back to him. He was not the same person anymore. He did not need to prove himself to bullies. "Think what you want," Marcus said and moved on. The academy was designed for all species, which meant some areas had high gravity, some had low gravity, and some had no gravity at all. Marcus quickly learned that his repulsor chair was an advantage in ways he had not expected. While other cadets struggled to move in zero-G sections, Marcus glided through them easily. His roommate was an alien named Zix, a small blue being with 4 arms and a friendly attitude. Zix did not care about Marcus' wheelchair. "We all have differences," Zix said on their first night. "That's the point of the coalition. We're stronger together." Training was brutal. Physical exercises, combat simulations, tactical studies, survival courses. Marcus struggled at first. His body was enhanced, but he was still learning its limits. The neural lace helped with studies, letting him process information faster than most humans, but it gave him terrible headaches. The instructors were tough, but fair. Commander Ravik, a stern Dravix warrior, watched Marcus carefully during the first combat exercise. It was a simple drill. Get from point A to point B while opponents tried to stop you. Marcus used his repulsor chair to move 3-dimensionally, dodging attacks from angles his opponents did not expect. When someone tried to grab him, he used the biometal's enhanced reflexes to twist away. His neural lace analyzed their movements and predicted their attacks. He finished the course in the top 10%. Commander Ravik called him aside afterward. "Interesting approach," the commander said. "You fight like you're in zero gravity, even when you're not." "I have to," Marcus explained. "I can't plant my feet and trade blows like others. I have to be faster, smarter, more unpredictable." "Keep doing that," Ravik said. "Stop trying to fight like them. Fight like you." But not everyone was supportive. A group of human cadets cornered Marcus in the mess hall one day. Their leader, a guy named Torres, leaned on Marcus' chair. "You make us look bad," Torres said, showing up with alien tech getting special treatment. "Some of us got here on our own." Marcus looked up at him calmly. "I got shot saving an alien life. I spent months in surgery learning to walk again. I passed the same test you did. None of that was special treatment. You're a dragon pet, Torres spat. Everyone knows Princess Serafina sponsored you. She did, Marcus agreed. Because I saved her life. That's how honor works. Maybe you should try it sometime. Torres reached for Marcus, but before he could touch him, a large hand grabbed his wrist. The Krell from registration day stood there. His name was Gorth, Marcus had learned. Leave him alone, Gorth said. Torres stared. Why are you defending him? Because he's right, Gorth said simply. He looked at Marcus. I was wrong about you. I watched you in training. You're not a pet. You're a soldier. Torres and his friends backed off. From that day on, Gorth and Marcus had an understanding. Not quite friendship, but respect. The real test came 3 months into training. The academy was attacked. Marcus was in the zero-gravity training section when the alarms went off. Explosions rocked the building. Through his neural lace, he connected to the academy's network and saw what was happening. Terrorists had breached the perimeter. Armed attackers were moving through the halls. Marcus recognized their symbols. Earth First, the same group that had shot him. All cadets evacuate to safe zones, came the announcement. But Marcus saw something on the network that others could not see. A group of Dragon cadets was trapped in the eastern dormitory. The attackers were moving toward them. They would not make it to safety in time. Marcus made a choice. Instead of evacuating, he moved toward the dormitory. His neural lace connected to the building systems. He sealed doors behind him and opened paths ahead. His repulsor chair moved through the corridors faster than anyone running. When he encountered attackers, he used his enhanced reflexes and the environment to his advantage. One attacker fired at him. Marcus' chair flipped upward, letting the shot pass below him. He grabbed a fire extinguisher off the wall and threw it. His enhanced strength sent it flying into the attacker's chest, knocking him down. He reached the dormitory, where 6 Dragon cadets were hiding. They were young first-year students, scared and unarmed. Follow me, Marcus commanded. Stay close. He led them through service corridors using his neural lace to map the safest route. When they encountered more attackers, Marcus used every trick he had learned. He used his mobility to draw fire, leading enemies into traps. He sealed doors with emergency locks. He set off fire suppression systems to blind and confuse them. One of the Dragon cadets, a young male named Kiros, stared at Marcus in awe. You're not running away. You're fighting back. Someone once saved my life by jumping in front of a bullet, Marcus said. Now it's my turn to do the same. They were almost to the safe zone when they ran into the largest group of attackers yet. 10 armed terrorists blocked the corridor. Marcus put himself between them and the Dragon cadets. Get behind me, he said quietly. You cannot fight them all, Kiros said. Watch me, Marcus replied. He charged forward in his repulsor chair, moving in ways that made no sense in normal gravity. He went up the walls across the ceiling, spinning and dodging. His neural lace predicted their shots before they fired. The biometal in his spine responded faster than human nerves could manage. He disarmed one attacker and used the weapon to stun others. He used his chair as a battering ram. He moved like he was dancing, beautiful and deadly. When security forces finally arrived, they found Marcus and the 6 Dragon cadets safe. 8 of the 10 attackers were unconscious. The other 2 had fled. The footage from the security cameras went viral across the coalition networks. Everyone saw a human in a wheelchair taking on armed terrorists and winning. They saw him risk his life to save Dragon students. They saw something impossible made real. Commander Ravik stood in front of the assembled cadets the next day. What Cadet Chin did was either very brave or very stupid, the commander said. Possibly both. But it worked. He saved 6 lives and helped security forces capture most of the terrorist cell. Ravik looked directly at Marcus. That is what the coalition military is about. Not species, not ability, not where you come from. It's about standing between danger and those who need protection. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. Cadet Chin understood that. After the ceremony, Gorth approached Marcus. I really was wrong about you, the big Krell said. You're not just a soldier. You are a warrior. Marcus smiled. I'm just someone who doesn't like bullies. Word reached Draken Prime quickly. Sarah sent him a message. I saw the footage. You've become everything you wanted to be. I'm proud of you. But more than that, something changed in the academy. The human cadets who had avoided Marcus started talking to him. Other species asked him for advice. He became known not as the disabled human or the dragon pet, but as Marcus Chun, the cadet who fought 10 terrorists to save his classmates. On graduation day 2 years later, Marcus stood on stage to receive his commission. He stood not in his chair, using the bio-metal in his legs to support him for the ceremony. It hurt, but it was worth it. He graduated top of his class, the first human to do so in 15 years, the first disabled person ever. As he accepted his rank insignia, Marcus looked out at the audience. He saw his parents crying with pride. He saw Zix cheering with all 4 arms. He saw Gorth giving him a respectful nod. And in the front row, in formal dragon regalia, he saw Sarah smiling at him. Marcus Chun was now Lieutenant Chun, Coalition Special Operations. He had proven that human determination could overcome any obstacle. He had shown the galaxy what humans could do when they refused to give up. And this, he knew, was just the beginning. Marcus thought about how far he had come. From a disabled boy in a hospital bed to a lieutenant commanding respect across the galaxy. The 2 years after graduation, Lieutenant Marcus Chun sat in a briefing room on the Coalition carrier Vigilance. His special operations team sat around him. Gorth the Krell, Zix the alien, and 3 others. They had become more than a team. They were family. On the main screen, a face appeared. It was Sarah, now formally serving as a diplomatic officer for the Dragon Imperium. She had cut her hair short and wore the uniform of her station, but her eyes still held that same warmth when she looked at Marcus. "I have information," Sarah said without greeting. "My intelligence contacts discovered something disturbing. Do you remember the terrorist group that attacked you? Earth first." "Hard to forget," Marcus said, touching his spine unconsciously. "They were funded by the Kresh Dominion." The room went silent. The Kresh were a rival power, always pushing against coalition borders. But direct funding of terrorist groups would be an act of war. "You're sure?" Marcus asked. "Completely," Sarah said. "And there's more. The attack on you was not random. The Kresh wanted to create a wedge between humans and dragons. They wanted Earth to leave the coalition." Marcus felt cold. "Why?" "Because humans are unpredictable," Sarah explained. "Because you adapt, you innovate, you refuse to accept limits. The Kresh fear what humanity might become in another 100 years. They want you isolated and weak." Commander Ravik, now heading special operations, leaned forward. "What's the immediate threat?" "We have intelligence that the Kresh are planning something bigger," Sarah said. "False flag attacks across multiple coalition worlds. They will make it look like human extremist groups are responsible. If they succeed, Earth will be expelled from the coalition. Maybe worse." "When?" Marcus asked. "We don't know. Soon." After the briefing ended, Sarah stayed on the line with Marcus alone. "There's something else," she said quietly. "I have been investigating something within the Dragon Imperium. Some of my own people do not want humans in the coalition either." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," Sarah said carefully, "that there are dragons who knew I was on Earth that day, who knew I was vulnerable, who might have allowed the attack to happen to teach me a lesson about consorting with lesser species." Marcus felt anger rising. "They let you get shot at to prove a point." "They let you get shot," Sarah corrected. "They probably expected you to die. That was supposed to be my lesson. The cost of my recklessness." She looked away from the camera. "When you survived, when I insisted on repaying the life debt, some were very unhappy. They see you as my weakness." "Are you in danger?" Marcus asked. "Always," Sarah said with a sad smile. "Court politics are their own kind of war. But I am careful. It's you I worry about. If the Kresh succeed, humans will be blamed. You will be seen as traitors. Everything you have built will be destroyed." "Then we stop them," Marcus said simply. The mission began 3 days later. Coalition intelligence had traced Kresh funding to a station on the edge of neutral space. Marcus' team would infiltrate, gather evidence, and get out without starting a war. It sounded simple. It was not. The station was called Meridian, a trading post where criminals and smugglers mixed with legitimate merchants. Marcus' team went in disguised as freelance traders. His repulsor chair was common enough in mixed species areas that it did not draw attention. They found the Kresh operation in the lower levels. It was bigger than they expected. Not just funding for terrorists, but weapons shipments, communication equipment, training materials. The Kresh were building multiple terrorist cells across coalition space. "This is enough to start a war," Zix whispered as they copied the data. That's the point, Marcus said. His neural lace was connected to the station's network, downloading everything he could find. They want the coalition to tear itself apart from the inside. Then the alarms went off. We've been made, Gorth growled, pulling his weapon. Marcus checked the security feeds through his neural lace. Kresh soldiers coming from 3 directions. 20 at least. Extraction point is compromised, one of his team said. We're trapped, Marcus thought fast. His neural lace showed him the station's layout, the power systems, the environmental controls. An idea formed. I can get us out, he said. But you have to trust me, and you're not going to like it. 5 minutes later, Marcus had hacked into the station's gravity generators. He shut down gravity in their entire section. While the Kresh soldiers floated helplessly, Marcus' team used their zero-G training to move quickly toward an emergency airlock. You're going to vent us into space? Zix asked, terrified. Just for a second, Marcus assured him. Our ship is waiting. On my mark, seal your suits. They made it to the airlock as Kresh soldiers regained control. Shots fired. Gorth took a hit to his shoulder, but kept moving. Marcus was the last through the door. A plasma bolt hit his repulsor chair, damaging it badly. He sealed the door and opened the outer airlock. They were sucked into space. For 10 terrifying seconds, they tumbled in the void. Then their ship swooped in, catching them with a tractor beam and pulling them into the cargo bay. Safe, barely. Back on the Vigilance, they presented their evidence to command. The data was clear and damning. The Kresh were funding at least 15 different terrorist groups across Coalition space. The attacks were planned for the Coalition Grand Assembly, when all species would be gathered in one place. We need to inform the Assembly, Commander Ravik said. But Marcus noticed something in the data. A series of coded messages. His neural lace worked to decrypt them while the others talked. When he succeeded, his blood ran cold. Wait, Marcus said. Everyone stopped talking. He put the decoded messages on the screen. They were communications between Kresh agents and someone within the Coalition government. Someone high up. Someone who had access to security protocols and assembly schedules. There's a traitor, Marcus said. Someone inside the Coalition is helping the Kresh. The investigation that followed was careful and quiet. They could not risk alerting the traitor. Marcus worked with Sarah's intelligence contacts, tracking the messages back through layers of encryption. The trail led to a dragon. Not just any dragon, but Lord Vexian, a high-ranking noble in the Dragon Imperium's diplomatic corps. He was one of the dragons who had opposed Sarah's decision to save Marcus. He was willing to betray the entire Coalition to prove he was right about humans. Sarah said when they confronted her with the evidence. She looked devastated. How could he? Pride, Marcus said. He couldn't accept being wrong. Couldn't accept that a human might be valuable. So, he decided to make sure humans failed. The assembly was in 3 days. They had to move fast. But, with a traitor in the diplomatic corps, normal channels were compromised. They needed a different approach. Marcus came up with a plan. It was risky and would expose him to danger. But, it was the only way to catch everyone involved. I'll be bait, he said. Lord Vexian wants to prove humans are weak. Let's give him a target. He can't resist. Me. Sarah hated the plan. You will be vulnerable. Exposed. I'm always vulnerable, Marcus said, gesturing to his chair, which was still damaged from the mission. That's what they think anyway. Let's use it against them. So Marcus went public. He released a statement saying he had evidence of a conspiracy and would present it at the assembly. He made himself the most visible target possible. The attacks came fast. First, an assassination attempt at a transport hub. Marcus dodged it using his damaged chair's unpredictable movements. His team was close by catching the assassin. Second, a bomb in his quarters. Marcus was not there having expected it. The bomber was caught. Each attempt gave them more evidence, more connections, leading back to Lord Vexian and his Kresh contacts. The day of the assembly arrived. Every species in the Coalition gathered in the Great Hall on Unity Station. Marcus stood before them in his damaged chair, his biometal visible, his human fragility obvious to everyone. I am Lieutenant Marcus Chin, he said. 2 years ago, I was shot saving Crown Princess Seraphina's life. Some people have never forgiven me for that. Not because I saved her, but because I survived. Because a disabled human proved to be useful. Because I did not fit their image of what we should be. He presented the evidence. Every transaction, every message, every plot. Lord Vexian tried to flee, but was caught by Dragon security. The Kresh ambassador tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. The Kresh wanted humanity expelled because they fear us, Marcus continued. Not because we're strong, but because we're adaptable. We take our weaknesses and turn them into advantages. We refuse to accept that anything is impossible. That's what makes us dangerous. That's what makes us valuable. The assembly erupted in discussion. Some wanted war with the Kresh. Others wanted sanctions. But everyone agreed on one thing. The plot had failed. Humanity's place in the coalition was secure. After the session, Sarah found Marcus in a quiet corridor. She hugged him tightly. "You could have died," she said. "But I didn't," Marcus replied. "And now your enemies know humans don't give up. Not even the broken ones. Especially not the broken ones." Sarah pulled back and looked at him seriously. "The Empress wants to meet you, my grandmother. She has something to ask you." Marcus felt nervous. "What?" "She wants you to command a new unit. Humans and dragons working together. Elite Special Operations." The Coalition Grand Assembly reconvened 6 months after the conspiracy was exposed. Representatives from every member species filled the massive hall. At the center, floating on her repulsor throne made of dragon biometal and human engineering, sat the Dragon Empress herself. She was ancient and magnificent, her scales like polished platinum, her presence commanding